Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie, and I am the 2L Access to Justice Fellow. I just want to give you all a big welcome for being here at the 2020 Access to Justice Program Pro Bono Recognition Ceremony. We are really excited to recognize the Mauer students who devote so much of their time outside of the classroom into pro bono work. Additionally, we have a very special community member with us today, Tonda Radawan, who is a true force of good in the Bloomington legal community. And we will start our event with a Q&A session with our keynote speaker, Amanda Rod. So after that Q&A session, Dean Parrish will recognize our award recipients. For those of you who are tuning in on YouTube, just know that there is a 20-second delay. So if you ask a question or ask for something to be clarified, there will be that delay, so keep that in mind. And one last thing before we start the Q&A session, I want to note how many hours Mauer students have logged so far this year, pro bono hours that is. So as of this morning, the class of 2021 has logged 206 hours, the class of 2022 has logged 500 hours, and the class of 2023 has logged 439 hours, all of that for a total of 1,145 hours. These are impressive numbers, and I want to thank all my peers for their hard work. You all make pro bono at Mauer so strong, so keep it up. I will pass it off to my fellow, Luis Torres.
Hi, everyone. I'm Luis Torres. I'm the 3L AJP Fellow. Before I enter the Q&A portion of the ceremony, I just want to again remind everyone that the live stream is 20 seconds delayed. So if you need a question repeated or anything like that, feel free to let us know in the chat. But you're gonna see like 20 more seconds of us talking before we're able to catch what happened. And again, we're not taking any questions at the event, but feel free to put them into the chat, because if we have a little bit of time at the end, we might reference the chat just to see if there's any questions that we can fit in really quickly. So now I'm going to introduce our panelist, Amanda Rod. Amanda is an alumna of Mauer, and she's now a partner of Ropes and Gray. She advises clients on global and cross-border risks for healthcare and enterprises and guidance for compliance cultures. She's one of the founders of Ropes and Gray's data and behavioral science initiatives and a leader of the data analytics on behavioral sciences. She's done a lot of work related to COVID-19 and ensuring that compliance continues on through times of crisis. As if all of that is not enough, she's also the global co-leader of Ropes and Gray's anti-corruption and international risk practice, the co-founder of the firm's Fraud in Times of Crisis Task Force, and a leader in the Global Healthcare Initiative. And she also is heavily involved in pro bono work. She's remained deeply committed during her time at Ropes and Gray. She's the co-chair of the pro bono committee at the law firm. She serves on the board of directors for Lawyers Without Borders, an organization that over 20 Mauer students are participating in currently. And she represents dozens of other clients for a lot of other pro bono matters. And of course, that's why we're here to talk to her today. So Amanda, just to get us started, do you want to briefly talk about what motivated you to do pro bono work, both as a law student and as a practicing attorney?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for having me today. And that introduction was really long. I could have given you a one-sentence Cliff Notes version. But you know, I think my interest in pro bono goes way back to probably before I actually even decided I wanted to go to law school. I was a psychology undergrad, and I think what I liked most about psychology was feeling like I was actually making a difference and helping people. And so when I went to law school, that was something that I sought out immediately. And Mauer is such a special place in that regard, where there are so many opportunities to do pro bono and to get, you know, real skills, get on your feet and get real skills through all of the clinics and pro bono opportunities that exist. That was something that I gravitated towards very early on in law school, and had really great experiences, whether it was, you know, working as a guardian ad litem or working on looking at cases where there may have been potential wrongful convictions, or domestic violence. The list really goes on. And what I loved about law school and what I love about my continuing role in the law firm is that there is so much out there, that so many things that we can really make a difference. And even if it sometimes maybe feels like it's a very small difference and we're chipping away at whatever it is a difference. And so for me, it's that feeling like I'm doing a bit of good with my law degree and what I'm doing every day.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that you said that stuck out to me was that you were able to get a lot of skills while you were a law student. So can you just talk about how some of those skills that you've gained through pro bono experiences have affected your job development? For example, did it help with your initial job search or your progression at the firm at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what helped most is it helped me kind of learn how to be the best lawyer that I could be. I mean, the truth is there's kind of no one size problem, and just there's no one size solution either. And so having the opportunity to work through on all kinds of different issues and different matters, like I said, I did a lot of work in the family and mediation space, whether it was, as a guardian ad litem or in the mediation clinic, working with Amy Applegate. That is not the area I practice in. Obviously, I'm as you said at the beginning, I'm a compliance and white collar lawyer today, and so I'm quite far from my guardian ad litem days. But the skill set that I learned about how to interact with people, and sometimes interacting with people in really challenging circumstances, that they're going through really tough things. And that the truth is that, when you're acting as a lawyer, no matter whether it's a white collar issue or a family issue, it's the most important thing that a person is going through when you're working with them. And so I think learning how to approach those issues and learning how to really tackle, your interpersonal skills is something that I think was really grounded in some of the pro bono work that I've done.
Yeah. And I think one thing that a lot of students specifically struggle with is, as you know, like when you first come to law school, it's super overwhelming. There's a lot of things going on and you have to pick and choose how to spend your time wisely. So do you have any tips for how you might balance pro bono work with your other school work, how you would prioritize it, anything of that nature?
Yeah, well, I think that merges with another question that I get asked all the time, which is how do you balance pro bono work with your billable hour requirements? And you're the same thing in a law firm setting. The truth is, you have to find a way to get everything done that you have to get done. But I don't tend to break it up that way in my head, right? They're all projects and matters that I need to work on. And I don't really think of one as pro bono and one as billable. I'm very fortunate that I'm at a firm that fully supports pro bono work. And so we don't have to think about that because it actually counts towards billable requirements. But I don't think I've ever divided it up. I think it's a matter of just really strong time management. You've got to figure out what are the top things that need to get accomplished and how do you get them done, and there's enough time in the day, you just work your way around it. I think the most important thing is to figure out what you're passionate about and make sure that you're finding a way to keep that in your life, because this is a long game. I've been out of law school for I don't know, I guess 15 years now or something like that. And it's a long stretch, and I still really love what I'm doing and enjoy what I'm doing. But I think part of that is because I found a way to keep doing the things that I'm really passionate about.
So I'm curious about two things of what you said. The first is, so you said that you're lucky enough to be at a firm that prioritizes pro bono. And we have a lot of students who do pro bono throughout their time at Maurer and then end up wanting to go into a law firm. So do you have any tips for during the interviewing process, how to actually assess whether or not a firm that somebody's looking at does prioritize pro bono? And we'll just start with that one.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, one thing I think you will be pleasantly surprised, I think, because my sense is that pro bono is high on the list, not just of my firm, but of most firms right now. You know, what that actually means on a day-to-day basis, I don't know the ins and outs of all the firms, but I would say absolutely you should find out, you know, what kind of pro bono resources the firm has to get a sense of what kind of pro bono opportunities the firm may already be connected with. And my guess is there will be several, there may be several kind of internal personnel dedicated to the pro bono opportunities as well. But then also just try to get a sense for whether they're open to exploring new relationships, because if you're doing a bunch of pro bono work in law school, there's a good chance you may have a few organizations that you feel passionate about that you would like the opportunity to continue to work with or to work on. And, you know, I think by trying to get a feel for whether the firm is willing to explore new opportunities and new partnerships, that tells you a lot as well. And talk to people. I mean, talk to the people that are interviewing you, talk to associates, talk to partners, see what they're doing. You know, is it part of their life or is it not part of their life? And, you know, just because the person you're speaking to may not have the full answer on it, I have the sense that you'll be pleasantly surprised that there actually is quite a bit of opportunity there, and that it is something that the firms do feel passionate about.
Yeah, I think those are all really good tips. So thank you. And one of the organizations that you're heavily involved with is one that, as I said during your introduction, we've brought to Mauer, Lawyers Without Borders. Can you just talk briefly about what your involvement is with them, and maybe if you had anything to do with Ropes and Gray introducing Lawyers Without Borders, or if you just sort of, if it was already there when you came?
Yeah, so I'm thrilled that Mauer has a Lawyers Without Borders chapter connection. That I don't know how I was the last person to find that out, but it seems that I was. But I sit on the board of directors of the organization. And to your question, the Lawyers Without Borders actually wasn't at Ropes and Gray at the time, and we had the opportunity quite early on. Well, I guess it wasn't quite early for me joining. So I guess it was in probably 2015 or 2016 while I was living in London at the time, where we met with the director and had the opportunity as a firm to consider working with the organization. And I was fortunate enough to go on one of the first trips that we did, and I traveled to Kenya with a group of judges and other lawyer volunteers to go work on a wildlife trafficking project. And it was a really, really phenomenal experience in the sense of, you know, we were working with lawyers and judges from all over the world, but predominantly on this trip, it was from the United States and the United Kingdom. And then we were in Kenya with prosecutors and judges, just putting heads together on what can we do to tackle this kind of global issue. And I think I learned, just as I do in every other pro bono opportunity, I probably learned more from that experience than perhaps I contributed, but it, you know, I from that point was really, really motivated with the organization and looking to see how we could expand our relationship as a law firm. And when the board opportunity came up, that has been great because, you know, it's given me visibility into, you know, lots of other organizations and both kind of law firm settings, student divisions, and corporations that are supporting Lawyers Without Borders.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the most important things is, as you already said, bringing in new opportunities that maybe fill gaps, whether if it's you're a student and you're bringing it to the law school, or if you're a partner, bring it into your law firm. So can you talk about the process of maybe how you integrated it in, if there were any like tips you have for somebody who might want to introduce a new pro bono opportunity, but feels like just overwhelmed by the whole prospect of having to introduce something new?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is never go it alone. You know, to spend as much time as you can talking to people, you know, sharing your enthusiasm about the opportunity, but then find the other supporters that have similar interests, so that you can, you know, together work on you know, sharing all the various opportunities and getting more people interested. It sounds like that's something you have accomplished well at Mauer, because I don't think Lawyers Without Borders has been there terribly long as a student division. And so I could maybe turn that back on you to see how you were able to get it up and running, you know, so successfully at the school, because I think it's that exact same skill set, right? It's being passionate about it, taking it to people and stand behind it. You know, when it's something that you really believe in, it'll show, and people will support you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I appreciate you not turning it on me. We'll leave it on you for now. But I guess just sort of, you know, bringing it all together, what is like the most important advice you have for students regarding pro bono work and pro bono involvement?
Well, I think, I don't know that I say this is the most important, but it's the theme, I suppose, of everything that I've said, is that it can seem overwhelming sometimes, I think, because there are a lot of competing priorities in all of our lives, and now probably more than ever with the way the world is, and 2020 has been to all of us. But you know, the truth is, every little bit that you do makes a huge difference. And you know, sometimes I'm struck by, you know, someone will reach out to me that I met 10, 15 years ago, and did something to help them on the pro bono front. And that's a huge reminder of just keep doing what you believe in, and you are making a difference, and don't give up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I just got word that Amy Applegate sent you a shout out. So
and I sent it back. If only I could actually see her as well, but in a virtual way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for telling us all about your pro bono experiences. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come talk to us. Especially since you're all the way from London. I don't know if I said that, but you're calling in from London, which is just one of the many benefits of Zoom. But I really appreciate it, because I think very often the messaging that students are receiving is like, you're either on the public interest track or you're on a law firm track. And your career just exemplifies how being at a law firm doesn't mean that you don't have time for pro bono or you can't make time for it. And I think that's a really important message, and you're a really important role model for so many students. So thank you again for attending today, and thank you for all of the good work you do for the community and the world in London. Really appreciate it.
You're too kind. Thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Yeah, of course. All right. So now we're going to enter into the award distribution portion. So I'm going to pass it off to Dean Parrish, who's going to be announcing all of our award winners. Thank you all for coming.
Louise, well, thanks for doing that. And Amanda, thanks so much for joining us. Great to see you. I think this is really Alumni Without Borders, and so it's fabulous that you're coming in from London and spending time with us. I thought what you said was inspiring, and I just reinforce, I think, you know, thinking about how you can build public service into a lifelong career, whether you're in government or whether you're in a law firm or whether you're in a legal aid organization, is critical. And I think the most successful lawyers are ones that often are able to do that for exactly the reasons you said. I'm not sure if it was made clear in the conversation, but Louise was the one that brought us Lawyers Without Borders, and was the connection there. So many thanks there for that inspiration. Let me start off by thanking Louise and Maggie and Professor Carwina Wang and the many faculty that oversee our different pro bono projects and our access to justice programs. This is always a great event and a moment to pause, to acknowledge and recognize those who have contributed a lot to our local communities. The law school is one of the largest providers of pro bono legal services or to low-income and poor individuals in South Central Indiana. And I'm proud that we continue to serve a really important role in the state and beyond. It's a core part of our mission, reinforcing our different missions. So, we believe that students that get involved in pro bono and work in clinics and do the projects, they become better lawyers for it. That's true whether they're going into a career doing pro bono work or whether that's they have other aspirations. It's just a great educational experience. So I'm very privileged, and I thank Louise and Maggie for giving me the opportunity to present this year's award winners. And we have 5 awards. I'm going to announce them. A few people will say some remarks after the awards, and then we're going to do a round of applause virtually before we turn the podium back over to Maggie. So let me start off with award number 1. And this first award is for the most pro bono hours during the summer of 2020. And this year's award winner goes to Asha Gelber. Asha's involvement with pro bono work has been driven by his desire to work on behalf of those marginalized in the criminal justice system. In his 1L year, he was incredibly involved with the Inmate Legal Assistance Project. He responded to inmate letters, providing legal support to pro se litigants, and he visited the U.S. penitentiary back when it was safe to do so, meeting in person with inmates to help discuss their cases and address their concerns. This past summer, he worked for the Honorable Judge Ellis of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. He drafted multiple opinions and conducted legal research in response to pro se litigants' habeas petitions. He saw firsthand the importance of every defendant understanding their criminal proceedings and receiving a just result. He was grateful to be able to use those skills he had developed at Maurer to be able to achieve those objections. So please join me not applauding, because we're going to do that virtually in a minute, but congratulating Asha Gelber on his receiving of the award for most pro bono hours during the summer of 2020. Also, I understand you're going to say a few words, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, and I'll act like this was just virtually handed to me to maintain some semblance of normalcy during these times. But thank you very much to Dean Parrish and to everyone who put this event together today. I'd especially like to thank my family, girlfriend Nicole, for attending this event and for their continued support. I want to particularly thank and note the contributions of Maggie Bott. Maggie runs 3 independent pro bono and public interest groups at Maurer. And while I'm very thankful for this recognition today, I'm additionally grateful that Maggie has put the groundwork in to make so much pro bono work that I've done and that other students have done possible at Maurer. This summer, as Dean Parrish mentioned, I responded to habeas petitions written by incarcerated litigants despite their immigration statuses, their struggles with mental illness, their overwhelming poverty, and a lot of other considerations. Many of their appeals to a federal judge were handwritten on notebook paper with notes about their inability to consistently access the prison library during a pandemic scribbled in the margins. One of my favorite Bryan Stevenson quotes is, "The true measure of our character is how we treat the poor, the disfavored, the accused, the incarcerated, and the condemned." I'm incredibly grateful to Maurer, my professors and classmates, for allowing me to play a very small role in treating these members of our society better, and for preparing me to undertake a long career combating some of the many systemic problems in our criminal justice system. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Makes me wonder, think that we needed to work out that system where you do on Zoom where I pass the award and somehow it magically appears, but I like the way you thought there. Congratulations on that well-deserved recognition. The second award that I'm presenting today is for the second-year student with the most pro bono hours reported during the 2019-2020 academic year. And this year's recipient goes to Shayla Abu. Shayla is a strong believer in the value of education and community outreach. Shayla is a volunteer with Outreach for Legal Literacy. She loves how bright and energetic the students are while learning about the law and government. She also volunteers as a coach for the undergraduate mock trial team. This organization allows her to spend time with students who are passionate about the law and teach them how to advocate for clients, convey arguments to the jury, and argue legal issues and objections to judges. Shayla also serves as a resource to these students for questions on study tips, stress management, law school, and great restaurants in Bloomington. You've been holding out on me, and I need to get that list too. She volunteers regularly as a judge for undergraduate and high school trial tournaments. She volunteers weekends to evaluate speeches, evidence, review arguments, direct examinations, cross-examinations of the hardworking students who we hope will grow into the next generation of attorneys. It's very much a privilege to be able to recognize Shayla with the second award for the most pro bono hours reported during the 2019-2020 academic year. Congratulations, Shayla.
Thank you.
Very nice. Shayla, congratulations. I understand you won't be saying remarks, but we're glad that you received the award, and we're privileged to be able to recognize you. Thank you for all you do for the community. Our third award goes to the third year student with the most pro bono hours reported during the 2019-2020 academic year. This year's recipient is Jamie Savisco. Jamie is unable to attend today, so we're going to recognize her in her absence. Jamie's pro bono involvement throughout her time at the law school has led her to some of the most rewarding opportunities she's had. She was even more pleased to find out the importance of pro bono work wasn't just something that Maurer put on its website, but also something that she was able to do. Only in a few weeks into a class in her first year, she signed up for many of the pro bono organizations that tabled at the organization fair. And shortly thereafter, she signed up with multiple organizations ready to provide whatever services she could. And she has a long list. One of her favorite endeavors, though, that she's been able to do for the last couple of years has been Maurer's outreach for legal literacy. She's worked with children for years prior to coming to law school, and the program has been a wonderful opportunity for her to continue that passion. And so it's, although she's not able to join us, we'd like to recognize Jamie Savisco for the most pro bono hours reported during the 2019 and 2020 year, and we congratulate her. The fourth award that we're doing today is for the graduate LLM student with the most pro bono hours reported during the 2019 and 2020 academic year. And this year's recipient goes to Su-Chan An. Starting last semester as an intermediate volunteer of the Protective Order Project, Su-Chan has participated in a pro bono project for helping survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and harassment. He has particular interest in this work because these issues are starting to be recognized more prevalently in his home country in South Korea. Most of Su-Chan's pro bono work is to respond to inquiries from clients who need protective order assistance. Also under the guidance of experienced volunteers, he's worked with clients to get more information and to help them for civil protective orders. In addition to holding office hours, he regularly participates in other activities that help people to broaden their perspectives on domestic violence. In particular, he has attended the Domestic Violence Awareness Week webinar activities to help him with his understanding. Su-Chan, it's with great honor to be able to present you with the award, even virtually, for the most pro bono hours in the graduate LLM program during the 2019-2020 academic year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Parrish. It's really, really honorable for me. Thank you.
Well, well deserved, and so nice to be able to recognize you with that award. Our last award today is the Community Award winner. And this year, we're very pleased to be able to recognize Tanda Radhawan for her contributions. Tanda's not an attorney, but she's done so much for the school and the local legal community. She's a community member who's assisted underserved populations, enabling them to navigate and overcome socioeconomic barriers to sustain affordable housing, financial stability, and legal representation. She collaborates with community organizations to provide resources and to support those most in need while motivating them to achieve self-reliance to the greatest possible capacity. She served as a volunteer on community radio for the board of directors for a number of different organizations. The number of pro bono hours that she's done for the District 10 Pro Bono Project are astounding, and she's an inspiration to all of us. So it is with a great honor and privilege to recognize this year's Community Award winner, Tanda Radhawan. Tanda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dean Parrish. First of all, I want to thank you all very much. I'm a little bit overcome, actually. I appreciate the recognition. I moved here in 1999. I moved to Bloomington from a very large urban area that was economically depressed. So actually even moving into a place that felt like a community was a first great step in a direction that I needed to go. Some of you might not know this, but before I moved here to Bloomington, I actually worked in the corporate litigation department for Arthur Andersen, where what we were doing was helping support and provide expert witness testimony in several cases, whether they be personal injury, lost profit, several types of cases where our team would be hired in to analyze the details and the data. And at that time, I was in my mid-20s and was involved in a pretty high-profile personal injury case, and was very excited about the work that I did there. I enjoyed the challenge, liked all the spreadsheets. It was a lot of forensic accounting, something I could really dig into. But it dawned on me after I was looking at actuary tables and doing all the statistical work that you need to do to make sure that the claim that's being provided is properly reviewed, that it dawned on me that the work that I was doing for the plaintiff's attorney was actually a person, a person that had been harmed. And even though I felt good about the work that I was doing and the detail that I was putting in, it really caused me to reevaluate what that work was going for and what that time was doing and what type of work and that I wanted to put my skills into. And I ended up leaving that job and tried to find a way that I could still do that type of work that meant a lot to me, but put it in a way that that promoted social justice and provided that information to people that were at the greatest need. It was pretty disillusioning. I actually spent my first 10 years here in Bloomington not being involved with the legal community or law at all. I chose to kind of literally serve the public and worked in many restaurants and waitressed and bartended until I felt that I was ready to go back into the legal profession in some way. As mentioned, I'm not an attorney. I've had the opportunity to work with many that have inspired me. One of the places that I think I was most inspired is I had an opportunity to work with attorney Rudy Savage, and worked with him for the past few years before he finally retired and closed his office, and was inspired with the way that he treated his clients, the way that he put his 30 years in the law profession supporting people. And it wasn't more than once where in lieu of fees, maybe he'd receive some catfish or some farm products or whatever it was that somebody wanted to express their appreciation for the time and effort that he put in. When Rudy closed his office, he suggested that I look into District 10 Pro Bono project. I was a Chapter 7 bankruptcy professional at that, and still am, but at that time was spending most of my focus on that. And as you know, District 10 has a Chapter 7 bankruptcy clinic, and I was able to volunteer with them for quite some time. And they were able to find some funding. So I was actually able to do something that I thought was really important and that I enjoyed in a manner that wasn't just strictly volunteer. The work that they do is essential. And I've met many of the law students that have inspired me to do what I'm doing still today through involvement with that project. You know, I had no idea of the efforts that the law school put in and the students put in until I was exposed to what District 10 was doing. That really is an inspiration. The students that I've met, that I've been able to work with, have really helped me stay inspired and help renew that spark within me that we can make a difference. The work that we do makes a difference. I see the countless hours that the educators and professors put into the school, and it's so inspiring. Another project that I'm working with now, it's a housing eviction prevention project here in Monroe County. Both Judge Stafford and Judge Benkart are involved in that project. Several attorneys have put in their time to volunteer their efforts. And my inspiration for that actually was Jennifer Prusak. Professor Prusak took over the tenant assistance project back in 2012. And I would go into the Justice Building for various reasons, whether it was through Rudy's office, and I'd see her walking in the courtroom surrounded by law students that were just, I mean, you could just tell their energy level and presence and the ability to assist, that seeing her and seeing what she was doing helped me investigate more what was going on with the school, and also what was being done and not done for eviction advocacy here in the county. And so I really want to mention her name and thank her and acknowledge her for the efforts that she's done through that tenant assistance project over the past, since 2012. I feel like I'm running on too, so I'm going to just close now by saying thank you so much. I'm so honored. Those of you that are here realize that you do this work because it needs to be done. You're compelled in ways, and there's more work to do, but I'm really inspired by all of you. So thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. The honor is ours. We're really grateful for all you do for our community. And I know you've provided a lot of inspiration for our students as well. So thank you for joining us today and being part of it. I think at this point, before I turn it back over, the plan is for us to do a round of applause. We hope people that are virtually not in the chat will also join us, because we think it's important to celebrate and recognize people who've given up their time to make a difference in the lives of others. So perhaps you could join me both on the call, recognizing our 5 recipients, Azagabo, Shayla Agul, Jamie Savisco, Sujanan, and Tanda Radawan, for all their achievements and for their 5 awards this afternoon. So I think we're supposed to unmute and a round of applause. We'll have to work on that so that it resonates more. I heard thousands of people applauding. At this point, that concludes the formal presentation of awards. I'm now going to turn it over to Maggie Bott for a few concluding remarks. Before I do that, I just wanted to extend a special thanks again to Louise and Maggie for putting on this program, for all they're doing to make sure that our access to justice programs and projects, along with our faculty, run smoothly. So thanks, Maggie and Louise. Maggie, I turn back to you for the floor is yours for closing.
Great. Thank you so much, Dean Parrish. This has been a really great moment to just pause and reflect on all the good that we can do as members of the legal community, whether that's here in Bloomington, inside prison walls, in schools, across borders. I feel really honored to be part of the same legal community as all of you. Thank you all for being here. To our award winners, thanks for being here, saying some words, and for all your hard work. It's really appreciated, and I hope that appreciation is felt by all of you today. Thank you to Amanda Rod for sharing your perspective with us. I do agree with Luis that your perspective as a private attorney doing pro bono work is so valuable for all of our students to hear. Thank you to Dean Parrish for being here to help honor our award recipients. It means a lot that you take the time out of your day to be here. And last but certainly not least, we need to say a huge thank you to the Director of Events, Chelsea Browning, and Mauer's incredible tech team, particularly Marion Conady and Matt Stiles. We could not have put on this event without you all, so thanks again. And thank you to all the viewers who tuned in on YouTube. So we'll see you next year.